Never under any circumstances should you take a sleeping pill or a laxative on the same night. Everybody get that? Now you tell me. Athlete, a lawyer. Oh, wait. Forget about the lawyer. Sorry about that. We're fortunate to have such a person. Kent possesses an insatiable appetite in helping others. As we know, almost society singles, executive singles, friends and family, July 28th, 2013. God bless Kent Foyer.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank God for plaques, huh? Kent has been known for that for years. I just want to thank all Kent's friends and family that are here today for this wonderful tribute and benefit for not only Kent, but also his dear, lovely, beautiful sister Sandra, who many of you know. Yeah. And thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedules. I know everybody's busy here. I haven't seen some of you for 10 years, and it's just wonderful seeing you again. And I'm going to go through the purpose, process, payoff. It's going to take a few minutes, but the purpose of me is talking about Kent from the day he was born, talk about his background, things way before he moved to Orlando, some things that I think are very important for you to know. Many of you don't know details about him, and the process is I'm going to go through some significant things that he's done in his life, experiences that he's had, and the process and the payoff for you will be you'll get to know Kent much better, and probably there are going to be a lot of insights that very few of you know. You know, April 22nd, 1937 is when it all started in Evanston, Illinois. That's the day of Kent's birthday. And for all of you math majors out there, he is 76 years old. And many of you don't know, but Kent was adopted.
Really?
Yes, Kent was adopted. I know, both of you, I'm going to get to Sandra in a minute. Because Kent was first. He was taken to a place in the north side of Chicago called the Cradle. It's where Bing Crosby's children were there. And he was adopted within 2 or 3 weeks by a Swedish couple. And the husband, was the heavyweight boxing champion of Sweden. And he used to spar, remember Jack Dempsey, the world heavyweight boxing champion? He was a sparring partner of Jack Dempsey. Jack Dempsey was the heavyweight champion from 1919 to 1926. He was 6'2", weighed 186 pounds. Not much for a heavyweight, but Kent grew up a tough guy. His father taught him how to fight. You know, he never backed down from a fight. And he grew up in the north side of Chicago in a Sicilian community. And he was kind of a tough guy, and he loved to play basketball, and he loved boxing. That's where he got his early love of boxing, from his father. And a lot of you don't know this, but after he graduated from high school, he was a pretty good basketball star, 6'4", forward. That was tall back in those years, in the late 50s. And he got a basketball scholarship. A lot of you don't know that, but he got a basketball scholarship to Beloit College in Wisconsin. And you know, where he was originally born was only 2 blocks from Northwestern University. And I always kid him because Steve and me and Kent, we share so many sports together. And he's a Big Ten guy, I'm a Big Ten guy. He loves Northwestern and he loves Wisconsin. And you love UCF, okay. Kent, so he got a full scholarship. I mean, how many people get a full scholarship to college? It was a small Midwestern college in Wisconsin. Here's what he did after he graduated. Interesting things that I never knew about Kent. He really got interested in politics. And he became friends with Henry Cabot Lodge, who was a senator from Massachusetts, and ran with Richard Nixon in 1960 election against, you know who, John Kennedy and Lyndon Johnson. And he was the chauffeur. He drove a chauffeur for Henry Cabot Lodge. Yeah. Isn't that unbelievable? It's nice to know top people, isn't it? If people that remember that election, Nixon lost 49.7% to 49.6%. That's how close it was. I guess he should have gone more to Chicago. That's where he won the election. But anyways, after that happened, his personal life, at 23 years old, he got drafted. Remember the draft was going on for Vietnam? I remember because I was in college in '68, but we had to serve in ROTC. But he went into the Army. He was trained as an infantryman. And he did his training in Missouri, and he actually was stationed at Fort Riley, Kansas. And there were 3 of his groups that went to Vietnam. Kent was lucky he didn't have to go to Vietnam, but he trained officers. I always ask him what he trained them on. I think it was how to run, boxing and singles groups. But he served his 2 years after Fort Riley, and so we got to really honor him as a military veteran, and thank God for the vets of America. After the military, he actually had quite a few jobs up in the Chicago area. I'm going to go through them real fast. He worked for USF&G, United States Financial Guarantee Company. It was an insurance company, and he was a claims adjuster. And he was bragging the other day. He told me he made $95 a week. Remember when that was good money? He worked for Thomas Collaters, which they put sheets together that go into textbooks. He worked, one of my favorite ones is Schlitz Brewing Company. That's my favorite job. Now I know where he learned how to drink. Because we have a similarity there. In college, I actually drove a beer truck. And it was fun. Schlitz was one of the brands we delivered. I didn't know Ken at the time, but he made district manager. And I asked him, why would you quit such a good job? He said, I got tired of all the traveling and drinking with those blue-collar people in Illinois. But one of my favorite jobs that he had, he's always been an entrepreneur. I'm not sure Kent really did well working with companies that hired him, but he had his own boat company. I mean, how many people here know he owned his own boat company? They made dinghies and 8-foot rowboats, and they were made out of polyurethane plastic. And he got a big order from J.C. Penney up in Wisconsin, and they were delivering about 35 of them on a big truck. Can you imagine how big? It was like a big flatbed truck. And it was in the wintertime in Chicago, and they left and went up to Wisconsin, and the police stopped them and said, hey, you got to tighten down the load, and they did all that, and the weather was so bad and the wind was blowing. If you've ever been in Chicago in the wintertime, it is god-awful horrible up there. And he was driving back to Chicago because they had to fix all the boats, and the people were driving by saying, hey, your boats are flying off. Your boats are flying off. He lost all the boats, 35 of them.
Oh, no.
On the highway.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I mean... Yeah. Well, anyways, needless to say, he was done with the boat business. Never got back into it until he was driving the boat for Esther here on Lake Howell when she was a professional water skier. But that's the last time he's been on a boat. What's funny is he moved in 1972 to Orlando. Okay? And he came from, he was up in Madison, Wisconsin. He moved down here. He had $50 in his pocket. And I'm not even going to tell you how he got here because it's embarrassing. I don't want to embarrass him. But think about the 70s, things like that, what was going on. But anyways, Kent got here and started a cleaning business. And he owned a janitorial company, and he didn't even have enough money to rent a hotel room. So he was sleeping in the attorney's offices that he was cleaning their place for. I mean, talk about a hard life when you start out. I mean, Kent's really had it tough. But you know, he built that business up, and what's amazing is when he sold the business, he had 190 employees.
Wow.
Most of them were part-time, and he was doing about $1.3 million a year. So he really grew it into a very successful business. And all of you met him sometime probably after 1992, because that was the original date that he started Society Singles. And you know, it's kind of funny, but he was a promoter because from 1979 to 1989, he was the state director of the Golden Gloves, boxing. And he was quite a promoter because he put on boxing tournaments and matches all over the state of Florida, all the way from Miami, Lauderdale, Tampa, Clearwater, Jacksonville, Orlando, every place you can imagine. So he was quite a promoter. And when he started the business, he had the first party at the Garden House in Lou Gardens. How many have been to the Garden House in Lou Gardens? Okay, almost all of us. And guess what? What a success. He had 500 people showed up.
Wow.
500 people. The problem was, here was the problem. He advertised, because he was a promoter, in the Orlando Sentinel and some of the retirement magazines. And the ages of the people that attended were between 18 years old and 92. So anyways, he had to kind of pare that down and get it over the 40 group later, but he marketed that, but what a great start. And he started, the second one he did was at the Embassy Suites in Altamont Springs. And remember the Langford Hotel?
Woo!
He used to have events at the Langford Hotel. And you know, he's been doing a lot of the parties lately on Wednesday nights. He's been having those over the last 4 or 5 years. And you remember the Truffles and Gallopin and Circa, Harper's Tavern, Aliqua Country Club, Sanapa, and Hannibal's. Remember, a lot of us have been there. We met up there on Wednesday nights. The problem is, it was interesting. At Taverns and Circa and Gallopins and Truffles, the night after he had the event, they closed their shop for business. And I said, Kent, this is just like the cleaning business. Everything's going out of business, you know? And he said, nah, he said, it didn't have anything to do with me. But Kent's value was always demand what is best and never accept second best. And he always wanted the best for everybody here. And that's why he always had it a great place. Some other things about Kent, and this is really goes to some of the charities that he worked with, and he worked with a lot of different charities. I know a lot of us have been involved in one way or another. I know one of them was the Neighborhood Center in Bithlo and Christmas, the Hope in Oviedo, and Head Start for 3 to 5 year old children in Bithlo. And you know, Acts 20 said, it is more blessed to give than to receive. And Kent is one of the best givers I've ever seen. I can't tell you the number of phone calls. You know, he'd make a couple $100 from one of the events, and a lady or a guy would call and say, hey, Kent, I live up in Ocala. I can't make my car payment. I need $100. He'd have $100 in his wallet. That's all he'd have. He didn't have enough money for groceries. He'd give us $100 up to the girl to help pay the... I mean, he did this every week. I talked to him. There's one story after another like this. He believes in helping the weak, the ones that can't make it by themselves, and being very generous to them. He also was past president of the Police Athletic League in the 90s. Remember the puppet shows? I don't know if anybody went to the puppet shows for the children. Yeah. He did puppet shows for Orange County and Seminole County schools. And one of the last ones he did, they talked about bullying in schools and how to prevent bullying and what to do if you're bullied. And he taught children. I mean, it comes from, he was the chairperson of the Heart Association. He sponsored basketball tournaments and fishing trips for young children. He worked with troubled children in Seminole and Orange County schools. He did tremendous work. I can't tell you the number of times he called me and said, hey, Fred, come on with us. We're going down to the 33rd Street Jail. I'm taking 25 or 30 boys with me that are troubled students. Right? Yes. And he also went to John Pope Correctional Prison in Sanford. It scared the heck out of these kids. How many it scared the heck out of so they didn't get in trouble later in life, no one will ever know. But Kent was quite an influence in children's lives. Okay, and Steve did mention that he's been successful at Society Singles. There's been about 60 marriages and people he's introduced. But you know, Kent's purpose in Society Singles is to bring good people together to meet and find happiness. And he said if some of them date, that's fine. 60 of them got married, and he said that's even better. But he wasn't a dating service or anything like that. He just wanted to bring good people together, and he wants us so much after he's gone to maintain our friendships. And I hope we all do that and stay in touch. Just a couple other things about Kent. I'm going to talk about the sports that he loves. Boxing, obviously, with his dad, you know, the heavyweight champion of Sweden. He loves basketball, scholarship to college. He loves football, women's volleyball, and baseball. He loves the Chicago Cubs. I can't tell you how many years we go through baseball season. I said, what are you doing? He said, I'm watching the Cubs. He said, Fred, I just hope before I die they win another World Series. Well, it's been 100 years. I said, Kent, I don't think you're going to live through it. I'm going to live through it. Our children or our children's children. But I always tried to get him interested in golf, and he just said, no, golf's too hard. I said, well, what do you mean it's too hard? He said, well, I kind of compare it to baseball. You know, in baseball, when they hit the foul ball, he said, that happens all the time. In golf, when you hit a foul ball, you got to play it. And one time, he was watching my swing. You know, I was having trouble with my swing. He's got a good eye for basketball and sports and boxing and all that. And I said, what am I doing wrong? He said, you got to take the club further back in your backswing. I said, okay. So I took it back further, almost parallel. I said, is that far enough? He goes, no, take it back further. I said, okay, well, God, now I'm going like as long as Phil Mickelson. Is that far enough? He goes, no, take it back further. I go, well, I'm almost hitting my ankle. He said, no. I said, how much further can I take it back? He said, take him back all the way to the trunk of your car. I almost gave up golf. Those are the sports. His favorite college conference is the Big Ten. As I mentioned, he was born 2 blocks from, you know, Northwestern University. Northwestern is his favorite university, and he lived a lot of years in Madison, Wisconsin. He loves the Wisconsin Badgers. And by the way, mark down September 25th and October 5th, Kent, because we'll be betting on those games when Ohio State plays them. We always talk about sports. And he loves basketball. God, he loves the ACC and the Big Ten rivalry that comes up. His 2 favorite people are Ronald Reagan and Tim Tebow. Ann Starr, you're going to love that. There we are. His 3 favorite movies, wouldn't you bet the #1 movie is $1 Million Baby, a boxing, right? Woo! That's his favorite one. Next starred Clint Eastwood and Morgan Freeman. His second favorite one was Casablanca, right? With Humphrey Bogart and Ingrid Bergman. And his third favorite was Gran Torino. Another Clint Eastwood movie. In summary, you know, I'm just very proud to be one of Kent's best friends. We've been friends like Steve and me and Kent probably 15 or 20 years. And he's just very proud of he's most proud of all the wonderful people he's met. Everybody here is so wonderful to come out and support him in this benefit. And he wants us to maintain our relationship. And he loves also getting smaller groups together. He's got a group of ladies getting together soon to talk about some various topics of interest to them. And he loves to get together with for lunches to talk sports and politics. We get together all the time for lunches. One final thought. If you have love in your life, you'll have happiness. Kent, we all love you, and God bless you, Kent Foyer, the best man I've ever met. Yeah!
I guess it's ready, yeah? Okay. I don't want to be too long-winded, but I want to make sure that everybody that's here, that I love all of you very much. And I really, really appreciate you being here today. I just can't, I'm overwhelmed. I see people I haven't seen for years. Annie Hutto, when she popped in, I couldn't believe it. And a couple of things I wanted to mention, though, besides my love for all you people and how supportive you've been and how much I appreciate all of you. Thanks. We were talking here, our Fred was mentioning. Oops. Oh, I'm sorry. Everybody bosses me around. And I don't mind.
Especially women.
The women are very good at bossing. But I need all the help I can get. But at any rate, I just wanted to. Whoops. Pretty good. Wanted to say something about my good friend Gene Grace, who just retired from. He was in charge of alternative placement for all of Seminole County schools and all the discipline and that sort of thing. Everything went through Gene Grace. Gene Grace used to be assistant principal at Lake Howell High as well as Winter Springs High. And we had a thing going, he and I. I said, Gene, give me the worst you got. I'll see if I can mentor them into being productive. Well, he did. I was successful somewhat. More often than not, I wasn't, but I tried. But Gene was the guy that we used to go to prison, and we used to mentor kids, and he's a very, very special friend of mine, and I love him very, very much. I could point out so many people here that I truly, truly love and I consider really good friends. And but I just want to give you kind of an update on my health, because I feel real good right now. I've lost 30-some pounds, I'm down to 191, which is good. Kind of baggy. I'm not taking off my clothes. So, at any rate, I have a rare cancer, and it's called, what the heck is it called?
Well, it's got a fancy name for it.
Oh, anyway, it's not important. So the area that it's affected me is in my gallbladder and my liver, my bile duct, and probably will start getting into my pancreas. So I've been to 4 doctors. I've had a couple of endoscopy procedures and to see what was really going on. And I've been to MRIs and CT scans, and I've been poked with needles for the last 6 weeks. But so I had a shunt put in my bile duct, and that changed everything. I mean, I was able to do certain private things that I was having difficulty doing. And I was very jaundiced, yellow colored, and that went away. So anyway, I went to probably the finest a surgeon that specializes in this kind of diseases, and he gave me 3 options. One option was do nothing and hope for the best. Good Lord, He may take care of you. The second option was chemo and radiation, and I've always been a little leery about what chemo makes you not feel very well. I don't like not feeling well. I feel great now. The third option was the toughie, and that was just a very delicate surgery, very dangerous one, and it was like a 6-8 hour operation, and then in 12 days to 14 days in the hospital, and then another 3 months at home recuperating. That didn't sound like a very good option to me. Plus, after that, then comes chemo and what have you. So what I'm going to do, I may get lucky. There's a lady here by the name of Beth St. Pierre, a very good friend of mine. Beth, where are you? Oh, there. Okay, sweetheart. Her mother had somewhat the same cancer that I had, and she was given 3 months to live. She lasted over 3 years. So I'm going to gamble. I'm going to try a little holistic medicine, try to do, eat properly. And I want to just kind of update you on what I'm facing here. But I know that I'm ready to go if I have to go. I don't fear dying. But I'd like to, looking around here, I want to stay around for a while because I want to do some great things. And you guys are going to help me. Yeah. So at any rate, I really appreciate you guys and my relationship with everybody here. A lot of it's overblown. I mean, things that I've done really weren't that great. Some of these women make a big thing out of it. So, okay, so be it. But my ministry in life, and has always been to help people when I can. And so some of the stuff these guys told, but not a completely 100% truthful. But they took the information down, they got it for me, and of course,
everybody loves a good story.
and you're a good story right there. A lot of things have happened in this girl's house where we used to have parties. So, at any rate, I think I've spoken. I hope you folks are enjoying yourselves today. I hope you're getting enough to eat and drink, and get to know one another. Let's all be friends here. Let's not live in a vacuum. You guys have so much potential, especially you women. I know some of women, they are very, very special. And they're very special because when they say they're going to do something, they do it. Now, I want to acknowledge a few people here that really deserve the acknowledgement. Sandy's fine. Anybody, come over here.
Sandy!
This girl has made over 1,000 telephone calls. Has answered so many calls that they wanted to call back. It was on and on and on. But this gal has worked for 3 weeks or maybe longer. And weekends. I mean, never could I find anybody more dedicated and harder worker than this girl right here. She is so special. Oh yes. Okay. Now, where is my little buddy? That's where is this? My new best buddy, and that's Carol Schleiman. Is she here? Oh, okay. Carol Schleiman is the banquet manager here, and she is one of the sweetest, kindest little ladies I've ever met, and she has had some very strong Roman Catholic lady. She lost her husband just back in May, and the year before lost one of her daughters. And this could happen to such a wonderful lady. Where are you, wonderful lady? Oh, there. Okay. She probably moved out. So, anyway, okay. Now, one more. Who was the other one we were? Oh, I'm sorry. She does all my thinking for me. But come here, Esther. Get over here, my dear. Now, Esther, we've been buddies, I don't know, 15, 20 years. And I was her boat driver. And she is the one that sent out all the emails. You know, I'm not much into computers, and I hate my computers. So I ask people like Sandy and Esther here, this is Esther Kennedy. And she's a very special friend of mine, too. And without her, nobody'd be here today. And of course, Sandy's playing. So, anyway, I appreciate you, my dear. You know it. Yeah. Right? And that's good, too. Yeah, I don't know why it is. I don't get no respect. Where is my little pet?
She's upstairs.
Oh, okay. So, anyway, thank you ever so much for coming tonight, this afternoon. It's greatly appreciated. We're going to have some nice dancing going on. If you guys care to dance, I'm sorry the floor isn't up here. Is she here yet? I'm running out of stuff to say.
Not you.
At any rate, looking around, I see people. I don't see that often, but when I do see them, I love it. I love seeing them. And I want you guys to come back again if I do something else. I'm healthy enough to do it. Would you please come back? If I'm feeling good, we're going to do something at Aliquot. Does that sound good? And then we'll you promise? Well, you better. I'm going to hold you to it. Is it okay if I said a prayer for my healing? I know there's been a lot of prayers going on. So would you want to do a public prayer?
I'm Wanda. How many of you believe in miracles? Well, those of you that believe in miracles, will you pray with me for our friend Ken? Yes. Father, in your name, we come to you through Jesus Christ. We know that you can heal Ken Foyer. We know that you love him, and we know that it's up to you whether you want to take him home at your appointed time or if you want to leave him here with us to continue to inspire us as he has. In the name of Jesus Christ, we all ask these things in your name, Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
One lady that I hadn't seen in a while drove up from Naples, and I've always had a crush on her, but I never told her. She was a well-to-do lady, and I was just a poor, miserable slob. But, you know, she said to me today, she said to me that I reminded her, and when she looks at me, she thinks of Jesus.